How many times have you been shot?
9 times.
9 times.
Why'd the guy shoot you 9 times? Was it drugs or something?
It was paid to do it.
Why were you targeted?
It's karma.
But it's really about trust issues. Don't trust them.
He ate those bullets and kept it pushing like nothing happened, but trust, that never healed. 50 Cent rose from the edge of death to owning the rap throne, with G-Unit rolling heavy beside him. But as the fame exploded, so did the tension. Whispers turned to beefs, and those beefs turned into chaos. This right here is the raw truth, how loyalty started falling apart once the fame came knocking. Before G-Unit was iced out with chains and stacking hits, 50 was just a hungry kid out of Southside Jamaica, Queens. No fancy cars, no millions. Just a dream and a pen. Then boom, 2000 hit. Everything changed in seconds. He was chilling outside his grandmother's house when a car pulled up and let it rip. 9 shots, 9, hit him all over. Legs, hands, face. It should have been the end, but 50, he lived. Somehow he walked away from it. But that trauma, it stuck deep. From that day on, he moved different, always alert, always cautious, rocking that iconic bulletproof vest everywhere. That vest wasn't for style, it was survival. You wear a bulletproof vest now? Someone once asked. Most of the time, I believe, he said. And that's when people knew he wasn't just rapping about danger, he lived it. While his jaw was wired shut and his body was on the mend. 50 Cent wasn't just sitting around feeling sorry for himself. Nah, he went straight into beast mode, putting every ounce of pain, rage, and hustle into his music. He started dropping mixtapes that had the streets on fire. Word was spreading fast. This dude had survived 9 shots and was rapping like he had nothing to lose. That grind, it paid off big. Eminem got his hands on one of those tapes and was blown away.
Well, but let's see if he connected the dots lyrically. He may have not connected the dots lyrically. You can find me in the, I'm like, is it? I turned the rule and everyone in the office and I said, yo, buckle up. We have a major problem.
This guy's hot.
This record, and he's with Jimmy Iovine, Dr. Dre, and Eminem.
He didn't waste time, passed it over to Dr. Dre, and the rest, history. 50 locked in a major deal, and the moment In Da Club dropped, the whole rap game shook. Even the folks at Murder Inc. knew this wasn't just another rapper, this was a problem. But 50 didn't step into the game solo. He built a squad, G-Unit, a real unit. You had Young Buck, the wild one repping the South with that raw energy. Lloyd Banks, smooth talker, sharp bars, always came correct on the mic. And Tony Yayo, that was 50's day one homie from the block, the one who'd been through it all. Together, they rolled like a rap version of a superhero squad. Flashy, fearless, and ready for war. Still, even with all the fame and power, 50 never let go of the past. That night, he got lit up, stayed on his mind heavy. He always believed it wasn't some random hit. He knew who did it. He even said it was Daryl Baum, AKA Homo.
Paranoia from the experience of actually being hurt heightened your senses to everything, the possibilities of things happen. It shifted me. It's either when you get hurt that bad, either your fear consumes you or you'll become a bit insensitive.
50 said it was Daryl Homo Baum who pulled the trigger. But the streets, they were whispering a different name. Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Word was Supreme was the one who paid for the hit. Why? All eyes turned to 50's track Ghetto Quran, a song where he name-dropped not just Supreme, but other street legends from Queens. That track didn't sit right with the old heads, especially not with someone like Supreme, who wasn't just some regular street dude. He was a major force, a legendary drug kingpin, deep in the game with serious federal heat behind his name. See, before the bullets flew, there was already tension. Supreme had reportedly tried to son 50, show him who really ran the streets. But 50 didn't fold. Instead, he clapped back with energy that Supreme wasn't used to, and that disrespect didn't go unnoticed. Supreme was feared by most, but 50, he wasn't most people. He stood tall, even when Supreme stepped up on his block. But the streets talk, and not long after, the law swooped in. In 2001, the feds finally caught up to Supreme. He was taken down on charges that read like a movie script. Murder, drug trafficking, conspiracy, you name it. The man got life in prison. You'd think that'd be the end of his chapter, but nah, things got darker. Even locked away, Supreme's name kept popping up.
Black Just.
Everybody
Supreme,
fuck with
I don't know.
Just.
I never trusted dog.
Everybody Just though.
I'm a street. Dog skin, green eyes, cream eyes.
Prosecutors said he still had serious reach from behind bars. They even linked him to more hits, including the shooting of hip-hop icon Jam Master Jay. So now the big question was buzzing. What was Supreme's connection to Jam Master Jay? And why would a figure like that be tied to another tragedy in the music world? Back then, 50 wasn't moving solo, but he had Jam Master Jay as a mentor, guiding him through the game. But once 50 dropped Ghetto Quran, the whole vibe shifted. Rumors swirled that he didn't just paint a target on his own back, he might have dragged others into danger too. One of those people, Jam Master Jay himself. Now, did Supreme really have something to do with Jay's murder? That's a shadow that's still hanging in the air. No one knows for sure, and maybe we never will. But one thing was clear, that song caused waves far beyond the music charts. And then came the twist that really shook 50. Supreme was connected to Ja Rule. That's right, the same Ja Rule who'd become 50's #1 enemy in the rap game. Before Supreme got snatched by the feds, he wasn't just tight with Irv Gotti. Word was, they were doing business.
Bulletproof vest now most of the time, I believe.
Yeah, in the States, just because I've been shot myself, and I've seen Tupac and Biggie Smalls situation.
And that meant Supreme had his hands deep in Murder Inc., Ja Rule's label. Now everybody knows how ugly the 50 verse is. Ja beef got, but while Supreme didn't like the first match, he definitely fanned the flames. To 50, this was no longer just a rap rivalry, it was straight up war. If the same crew behind the music was possibly linked to a man who wanted him gone, then who could he trust? That's when things got twisted. The threat didn't just come from the outside anymore, it started bleeding into his own circle, his own life. When the beef between 50 Cent and Ja Rule started spiraling out of control, diss tracks dropping left and right, tension boiling in the streets, and the whole industry picking sides, 50 knew he couldn't afford to move loose.
Preem came to the block, 50 up there. Preem, dude, you know those. You know what 50 did? Yeah.
Do it back, yeah.
Oh, you know what the block did?
Yeah, that's what
oh! That's when I knew 50 didn't give a f. And that's when I knew Preem didn't.
He needed ride or dies, not just rappers. G-Unit wasn't just a rap group anymore. It was his personal army. But right in the middle of all that smoke, cracks in the foundation started to show. And the first major crack, the Game. At first, Game was the West Coast golden boy that 50 brought into G-Unit to add firepower. The dude had bars, presence, and street cred. It looked like a perfect match until things hit the fan. Game pulled up to Hot 97 and publicly made it clear he wasn't trying to ride on 50's enemies. He said he didn't want no drama with Jadakiss and Fat Joe, especially after they linked with Ja Rule on that joint, New York. To Patasot, that wasn't just hesitation, that was disloyalty. In his mind, if you ain't rocking with him, then you're rocking with the ops. No in between. A few days later, 50 wasn't about to let that slide. He showed up at Hot 97 with his core G-Unit team, Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks, and Olivia, ready to air it all out. He sat down with Funkmaster Flex and laid it bare. He exposed what he saw as Game's flaws, called him cocky, reckless, and worst of all, ungrateful.
What up? Whole brother ain't family in this motherfucker.
50 didn't stop there. He said he was the one who ghost wrote most of the heat on Game's debut album, The Documentary. That album, a massive success, and now 50 was letting it be known that he was the muscle behind the music. So when Flex asked him, where does Game stand in G-Unit right now? 50 made sure there was no confusion. The line had been drawn and Game was out. Not even close to over, things exploded fast. Word got back to the Game that 50 aired him out on Hot 97 and he wasn't trying to let that slide. Game and his crew rushed down to the station while 50 was still inside, ready to confront him face to face. But security held them back, and that's when things got real ugly. Shots rang out outside Hot 97, for real. One of Game's boys took a bullet in the chaos. This wasn't just music anymore. This was full-on street war. After that night, whatever bond 50 and Game had, gone, shattered. There was no fixing it after that. But the drama inside G-Unit didn't stop there. The next crack didn't come from the outside. It came from within, from someone even closer to 50, Young Buck.
Giving them a chance, giving them the benefit of the doubt then, but you could take this as official notice right here because we're on the hottest morning show in the world right now. Ow. Pretty much you could say Young Buck is no longer in the group G-Unit, but signed to G-Unit.
At one point, Buck was 50's go-to guy. He brought that raw Southern grit, hungry, real, and always ready to ride. But by early 2008, something shifted. Fans started noticing his voice was missing. He was barely on mixtapes. He was nowhere on Return of the Body Snatchers, which dropped in February. Whispers turned to questions. What's going on with Buck? Then in May 2008, Buck let it all out in an interview with XXL Magazine. He admitted things between him and 50 weren't the same, said they hadn't spoken in months. He opened up about the pressure, the stress, the financial weight. It wasn't wild disrespect, but it was public, and that was enough to hit a nerve. To 50, it felt like deja vu. Another G-Unit soldier breaking rank, speaking on personal business to the press. And just like before, 50 didn't keep quiet. He took it right back to the airwaves, ready to send another message loud and clear.
Out of line a little bit with you. I swear to God I have.
Yeah, you're gonna be all right. You hear me?
I'm wrong.
This is 50.com.
On April 7th, 2008, 50 Cent pulled up to Hot 97's morning show, calm, collected, and stone cold. No yelling, no theatrics, just facts. Right there, live on air, he officially cut Young Buck from G-Unit. No sugarcoating. That made it the second time a founding member of the crew got dropped in public. But Buck, he wasn't just gonna fade into the background, not a chance. He clapped back with a diss track taking direct shots at 50. But what really shook the streets was what came next. A secretly recorded phone call between Buck and 50 leaked, and man, it was raw. The call was emotional, awkward, and hard to listen to. You could hear Buck crying, saying sorry, admitting where he messed up. He was begging to make things right, trying to slide back into the G-Unit circle. It was a vulnerable moment, and 50, he let that tape fly, straight to the public. Still, Buck wasn't finished. Less than 24 hours later, he fired back again with a diss track called The Taped Conversation, flipping the whole situation, taking more shots at 50, trying to flip the script and paint himself as the victim. It was a messy back and forth. But honestly, the damage was already locked in. Too much had gone down. And through all this drama, one person stayed quiet, Lloyd Banks. While the rest of the crew made noise in the media and dropped tracks filled with shade, Banks kept it low-key. For him, loyalty wasn't about screaming on the mic or making headlines. It was about staying solid, even when the whole empire was starting to crumble. But even with all the betrayal, back and forth diss tracks, and public fallouts, 50 still held the G-Unit flag high. He wasn't ready to give it up just yet. He doubled down, pushing the brand harder. More mixtapes, solo albums, even TV appearances. But behind the scenes, the energy had shifted. The brotherhood that once moved like a unit, it was more like a business now. And everyone felt it. By 2010, G-Unit wasn't the same crew that once stormed the charts and the streets. Tony Yayo was still loyal, but even he admitted in interviews that things weren't as tight anymore. The hunger was fading, the chemistry was off, and fans, they noticed. Album sales were dropping, the buzz was fading, and other rap crews were starting to take over the spotlight.
Banks, he just, I don't even know, he couldn't even tell you, like, at any point when you speak to him what a problem. Damn. I put him like where I put Marquise.
Oh, wow.
Like, they just have something internally that's going on with them that gives them some sort of resentment towards me, and I just don't even.
Still, 50 wasn't just watching the ship sink, he was pivoting, moving into TV, business, and building his empire outside of rap. Meanwhile, rumors of tension between Lloyd Banks and 50 Cent started creeping in. Banks had always been the quiet one, but now people were saying he wasn't answering calls, not showing up for group projects, and moving on his own. Eventually, 50 aired it out. He said in an interview that Banks and Yayo had become too stuck in the past, not evolving with the game. And once again, just like before, he publicly called them out. No sugarcoating, no filter. One by one, the soldiers who helped build the G-Unit legacy were falling away. Not with a bang, but with silence, distance, and that same cold business tone 50 had mastered. By the time the mid-2010s rolled around, G-Unit felt more like a memory than a movement. But in 2014, out of nowhere, boom, a reunion went down at Summer Jam. The crowd went crazy when 50 hit the stage, and even more shocked when Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, Young Buck, and newcomer Kid came out beside him. For a second, it felt like the old days were back. Unity, power, respect. But that spark, it didn't last. The group dropped a couple of mixtapes, hit the radio circuit, and tried to bring the wave back, but things just didn't click like before. You could feel it. The chemistry was off, the energy was different, the love was strained. It was like watching a family dinner where everyone smiled for the camera, but the tension at the table was thick. Behind the scenes, things were already breaking down again. Interviews got weird. Social media posts started throwing shade. And slowly, without saying much, the members began moving solo again. Lloyd Banks, the quiet one, dipped out first. No big announcement, just silence. 50 would later say that Banks ghosted him, wouldn't pick up the phone, and had no drive to evolve in the rap game. Then Yayo, the last soldier standing, went on to reveal in 2023 that even he had to step away. He admitted that 50 had a habit of keeping too much control and not letting his people shine fully. That was it. No big press release, no final goodbye. G-Unit just faded out. Not with a bang, but like a cold wind slipping through a cracked door. It stayed quiet, but it never really disappeared. Way back when 50 Cent was going at everybody who crossed him, Lloyd Banks stayed chill, barely spoke on the beefs. He kept it low-key, no diss tracks, no messy headlines. But to 50, that silence was suspicious. He never fully knew where to place Banks. Was he loyal or just holding in some grudge? To some, Banks gave off that vibe. The type who looked lazy on the surface, but deep down might have been carrying some quiet resentment toward the man who put him on. Yeah, Banks. In the end, both Buck and Banks drifted, but they never fully disrespected what G-Unit meant or what 50 built. There's still a layer of respect there, even if they moved on. But when it comes to the game, that's a whole different chapter, and one that's still sealed shut. That bond burned, that bridge, ashes. Sure, G-Unit's done a few reunion shows over the years, and sometimes fans get their hopes up. But when 50's asked about getting the group back together, he keeps it quiet. No hype, no promises, and honestly, today, there's no real movement, just history. But if there's one thing that's clear, it's this. 50 Cent doesn't trust like he used to. After everything, can you really blame him? Now, speaking of loyalty, I know you are solid, so go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment too. Let's talk about which G-Unit moment had you shocked the most. And stay locked in, because next time, we're taking another wild ride through the culture. Let's see what's really going down. In our hood next.